There are boats that appeal for their luxurious interiors and others that are liked for their particularly comfortable and spacious deck plan. There are boats that are appreciated for how they handle the sea and others because they are very fast. Then there are boats that are universally liked and appreciated. And this is one of those. If you come with me today, I'll introduce you to this boat, Grand Soliel 52P. This here is the Grand Soliel 52, the latest 2024 model, meticulously crafted by Cantiere del Pardo. As you can see, it's a very beautiful model, a particularly beautiful boat. It's the result of a long design process. Behind this boat, there are many people involved. Think about it. On one hand, there's Matteo Polli, who handles all the engineering aspects of the boat. He's the one who creates the water lines. He's the individual charged with the job of making this vessel sail extremely fast, which is quite accurately referred to as 52P, in which the P stands for performance. On the other hand, we have one of the most famous design studios in the world, Nauta Design, which has the responsibility of making it as beautiful as you see it now, creating an incredibly beautiful but also extremely comfortable boat. The two things usually don't get along very well with each other. And indeed, it is precisely between these two significant figures that we have the team from the technical office of Cantiere del Pardo, as well as the product manager, who is the person who conceives the boat, the man who has the intuition for the boat, who is Gigi Servidati, who is also the president of the shipyard. He is the one who has the task of mediating between those who must think about performance and those who must think about style. What we have here is the result, a boat that's not just stunning, but really very beautiful and of the absolute highest quality imaginable. There are boats that are at this level, and then there are boats that reach this level of quality. This boat is right at this level, and the scale we're talking about is absolutely global. Cantiere del Pardo, and especially the Grand Soliel 52P, is at a level of quality that's considered among the very highest in the world. How do we see this? I can give you several examples. The water tanks, instead of being located under the beds in the aft cabins, here the water tanks are 4 stainless steel units, all located centrally under the waterline. They are independent of each other, so if one breaks, the other 3 still function. Diesel tanks are the same. We have one on the right, one on the left, and a daily tank in the center. What is the daily tank primarily used for? For example, if I need to undertake an extended journey using both sail and engine power, the boat is capable of sailing at a greater heel since I am drawing diesel from the center of the boat. Or the sea intakes here. The potential issue that arises is if it breaks, the sea intake doesn't exist because they use durable, New Zealand-made sea intakes guaranteed for life. They are very large intakes, so they need to be studied. Even at the design level, I can't just place them afterward. I need to plan them in advance, but they eliminate a significant problem, a great danger on a boat. And like these, there are many other features that significantly enhance the overall quality level of the boat. And clearly, including every aspect of its structure, this is an entirely structural boat. It's a boat where the bulkheads are not simply laminated, but are also firmly glued to the hull. So first glued and then laminated around their entire perimeter. The structure is the same. The structure is first carefully glued and then thoroughly laminated to the hull, which results in the boat's total solidity. One last example is the gunwale. For you, this gunwale is just a gunwale. Therefore, it's an essential part of the hull that helps water efficiently flow off. In the shipyard, this is one of the main structures because it has a special design that functions to prevent the hull from twisting as it descends from a rather high wave, so when the boat descends, it remains exceptionally compact. Indeed, if you take the boat out, whether there is a wave or not, the feeling of having something extremely compact and robust under your feet is very clear. Let's look at the spaces. The coach roof extends just forward of the mast, making it a relatively short coach roof. Indeed, we have a very large 4 triangle, which is exceptionally good whether I want to race, or if I'm in the mood to sunbathe while I'm out sailing. Right at the very front of the boat, there's the chain locker, which I really appreciate. due to its impressive depth, which means that I never have to worry about the risk of the chain getting accidentally jammed under the electric windlass. This suggests that whenever I wish, I can also take charge of it from the cockpit, which for someone who's used to handling a boat by themselves is quite an important thing. In the center of the boat, I have a space on the deckhouse, a very spacious area there for relaxing. Then I have the spray hood and everything concerning the cockpit, which is a very large cockpit. Because you must consider that the boat has a beam of 5 meters and 15 centimeters, so it is indeed a very wide boat and maintains this significant width not entirely, but for a substantial part of it, even right at the stern, therefore in the area of the cockpit. But now, let's go ahead and meet up with Gigi Servidati, who, as I previously mentioned, is the creative mind who conceived this boat and all the models of the Pardo shipyard before they were born, and Gigi originally wanted to make it 52 feet to pay tribute to another 52-footer of the boat. Originally designed for the Pardo shipyards, it was called Cantiere del Pardo at that time. Today it's known as Cantiere, specifically for the Pardo shipyards in the year 1987 by German freighters. Let's go meet Gigi Servidati. Gigi Servidati, the creative brain behind these boats. It's indeed him, as we've said before, who imagines them and takes them forward to this point until they go into the water and proceed to enter into production. Gigi, what can you tell us about this boat? I've already talked about a number of things concerning the tank and many minor details that I've noticed on the boat. I wanted to talk to you about the hull. What kind of hull do we have here?
So as you know, what we have here is actually a hull, and we asked Matteo to always maintain the DNA of our boats, which is performance. Therefore, this model belonging to the performance range had to meet our demands, and that it can indeed also have some comforts. Usually these two aspects are somewhat in opposition, and there lies the true skill of the designer in collaboration with those who will have to furnish these boats in finding the right compromise. I'm quite confident, considering the tests we've carried out and the results we've subsequently gathered from the various speed polars of the boat, that they've successfully managed to achieve the right compromise.
Yes, we also saw this morning.
This morning, as you clearly observed, the boat is moving very smoothly.
Listen, but what can you tell me about this edge, or elbow, or whatever you prefer to name it, that Matteo designed so high? On the hull?
Well, you see, it's actually a unique aspect of our design aesthetic. So,
is it just an aesthetic element? Does it not have any function at all?
Well, no. With this height,
it's absolutely useless.
It's an aesthetic element.
It doesn't perform any function.
No, absolutely
not. From
not.
a navigation point of view, it's beautiful. I must say, these side decks are really beautiful.
They're quite wide indeed.
So wide. These are really remarkable.
Yes, it's clear that everything revolves around usability, as you can see. The cockpit is easily accessible with very manageable heights, enhancing the convenience of maneuvering. This really emphasizes the idea we're trying to get across about effortless sailing. A boat of these dimensions must be sailed with a reduced crew.
So that means 2 people can sail it?
2 and a skilled sailor could solo sail it, as you saw earlier with the mainsail furling into the boom. We can raise and lower the mainsail, which is 100 square meters.
In its entirety, this instrument is truly remarkable.
And then, as you can notice, I'm sailing her at 8 knots of wind. We're going at 7.2, 7.3. With 2 fingers, you can steer the boat. It seems like a large dinghy.
Yes, it feels like a big dinghy, that's true. Very nice. These wide benches are also very beautiful. However, I have 2 remarks to make.
Yes.
One of a technical nature and one of an aesthetic nature, and don't hold it against me. The technical one. The life raft position down there, it doesn't really convince me, also because it's caged with the... Well, getting it out is not exactly very simple. What do you say? Why did you put it there? It's not like I never asked you to do such a thing.
I agree. It's quite clear that we don't produce any boat in the shipyard that isn't sold. Every one of them has an owner who obviously has requests that must be accommodated. This is a request from the owner, so the convenience of a table to be able to have lunch with 10 people and having the life raft down there because we removed it from where it was supposed to be, which is this area here.
What's this placed here? There's a basin.
Well,
it seems like an odd thing. It's almost good.
Whoever wants can put it wherever they want.
It seemed strange to me. It sounded wrong. I was saying to myself, This isn't like Gigi to do something like that. And the other, from an aesthetic point of view, it's going to look really nice, but personally, synthetic teak decking on a boat. Look, I can understand it on any boat, but on a boat of this level, well, it's such a noble boat, and it really feels quite out of place to me.
We could say that throughout the years, the preference for these synthetic decks has acquired an advantage over traditional teak, which always remains. It always makes a difference because the height, the warmth, and the aesthetics it conveys are different. But it's clear that the functionality, the complete absence of maintenance required for the synthetic deck over the years ultimately wins over the most significant factors.
But you agree with me that real teak is much warmer, much more beautiful, much more...
Wait a minute, do you want me to say something that initially puts me in a difficult position
But I know
with the
this
supplier?
very well that you
Even
like
the
it
dear
more.
friend who always indulges us in our somewhat peculiar requests, no matter what. Come on. I really have to tell you, in terms of aesthetics, natural teak is actually different. But nowadays, practicality and rationality have the upper hand with synthetic teak.
Okay, perfect.
The DNA of this boat is sporty, so it's a boat that must have performance that usually doesn't go hand in hand with volume. And for us, this exercise is really something that makes a bit of a difference in the sense that we are always very attentive to providing comfort. And as you see, 3 cabins with 3 bathrooms. With these double beds, single beds, you have different...
Then very large cabins.
Yes, it's very spacious. The important thing is to always keep the weight and the height of the boat under control, ensuring that everything inside is balanced with the structure that encloses it. Well, it's consistently a challenging exercise, but luckily we now have a highly experienced and skilled team. And this is the result.
And so, he talked about weight. You consider that to keep the boat light, they often do things that are quite unsuspected. Look here. This appears to be a wooden panel, but in reality it's not. What is this called?
It's whisper technology, where we install a small aluminum frame and then apply this leather finish or faux leather to complete the result, as you can see.
Just think about it. These panels, they're so long and so wide. Just imagine the significant extra weight they're continuously adding up top. Well, clearly taking them off is a significant advantage. But here it's not just the study of weight and performance. I've also seen that there's an extensive amount of research being conducted specifically on ventilation and advanced lighting as well.
Yes, this is another one of our pluses. Our boats must always be airy, so when you are below deck, you shouldn't feel like you're in a mine.
Even though air conditioning like right now helps a lot.
Yes, but when everything is open, there's always consistent airflow. The ship owners really appreciate and often specifically request this aspect of lightness and also a profound sense of freedom that's effectively brought about by the light.
Lightness that I also find in the furniture, because these pieces of furniture, especially these suspended ones with this play of light that further emphasizes their sense of presence.
Yes, another distinctive element of the style of this boat is precisely this advanced study of lighting technology, and we actively emphasize it because we work on it a lot. And it makes a difference. The ship owners take pleasure in seeing all these effects, especially at night, of the various spaces that light up with soft lights.
This must be very nice, incredibly suggestive thing at night. And then on the other hand, something a bit more traditional.
Yes.
It is the movement of the table.
Yes, the table is a coffee table if desired. With a piston, it changes the height of the table. Then it opens up for when you want to have lunch or dinner, seating 6-8 people. Then, if desired, it can also become a convertible dinette to provide additional sleeping spaces.
And another key point of tradition that you have always wanted to maintain is the chart table.
This is the ship owner's office, which means he always wants to maintain his personal little corner. And here we consistently make sure to...
So it's convenient, right?
Yes, absolutely. This is convenient. It contains all its instrumentation, drawers, and even small drawers for the first aid toolkit. In short, we always make sure to keep it in service.
So to summarize, as for the layout, here the layout stands out as unique. We have 3 cabins. You have the option of choosing either 2 double cabins or 1 double plus 2 separate beds. We have 3 bathrooms, so each cabin has its own bathroom. Of these bathrooms, 2, this one here, and the one belonging to the owner, both feature a separate shower stall. While the bathroom of the left-hand cabin doesn't have one, it always has a shower, but it's integrated into the bathroom. And the owner's cabin is particularly very large. And it is truly surprising because this boat, as you may have noticed, does not resort, like many do, to using corners, elbows, or tricks to expand the bow volume. The boat's hull descends in a straight line, and yet just look at how much space we've got in the bow cabin. Really amazing.
So I just wanted to specifically point out to you another important detail, which is the mast in this position that allows us to have slightly larger jibs, and then it's clear that inside it has an impact. But as you see,
in fact, I know this has been a topic of discussion between Nauta and Poli.
Exactly, and then as you see, it's a sailboat. The mast must be seen, and it's also nice to have.
Yes, exactly. And also a
having
piece of
successfully
furniture.
managed to integrate it perfectly well.
Perfect. You know, if I'm remembering right, this is exactly what they did on the 40 the first time you moved the mast.
Yes,
backwards.
exactly.
And I remember there was quite a friction between Matteo Poli and at Nota Design, because Nota Design clearly wanted to utilize this space and didn't really know how to incorporate the mast that was. Detaching from the bulkhead, still, they managed to handle it quite effectively. Listen, at this point, let's go out and try it. Let's see how it behaves.
Yeah, let's go and
Come
check
on.
it out.
Let's go ahead and try it out. Let's see now, since there's still a slight wind blowing, otherwise we might risk ending up in a dead calm. Unfortunately, you don't have the pleasure of being here, but I assure you that from here, it's quite the spectacle. The boat is truly a spectacle. It's really beautiful. And this actually forward escape, with a great deal of open spaces, these side walkways that are incredibly wide. I have never seen such wide walkways on a cruise boat before. Was it you who wanted them so wide?
Yes, indeed. These particular passageways were a special request which, owing to our designers being highly skilled in accommodating our demands, we were able to accomplish with this result.
That is, he basically said, designers who have learned to put up with him because it must undoubtedly be a real pain. Well, it's truly incredible. Listen, before we go see how the boat performs, I wanted to ask you, I just spoke with Francesco Spirito, who is your commercial director for international affairs. And he's quite enthusiastic. He shared some sales figures with me that are quite interesting, so let's hear them.
We are very happy, considering the 52 stands as an absolutely essential project for us, as it effectively completes the performance range. And even before we had the chance to present the boat, at Cannes, we had already received a great commercial response, both in the terms of acquiring new customers and in the terms of maintaining loyalty, given that the units already sold. Well, they are mostly intended for new customers, while 2 units have already been expertly outfitted by Grand Soliel.
A great success.
I would say we are also happy because, every single new project is in every way a fresh start. And so this remarkable success in sales has truly heightened our sense of optimism, and it also gives us significant visibility for the future.
Listen, let's see how the boat performs. Can you recap the data we have there under the mast?
Yes, at this moment we have 4 knots of wind, 77 degrees, and a speed of 4 knots.
Because soon the wind here will die
yes.
down.
However, as you can see, the boat moves smoothly despite being 15 meters long, even in light breezes. We have a mainsail of about 100 square meters, a jib of 100 square meters. Then in this case, we have rigged a self-tacking jib that's 60 square meters, and there is an option. There's an option for a 110% jib, approximately 75 square meters.
We said that this is the standard version. You have
Yes.
2 versions, the standard and the race.
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
tell us the differences between the 2?
So the difference lies only in the accessories in the deck hardware. In our list of accessories, we have an item that is race equipment, which includes a complete optimization of the deck plan and appendages. This serves to give the boat a more sportive character.
And this particular one, even though it's a standard version, comes with a pair of
Yes.
race accessories, such
Yes,
as this
exactly.
part.
In the list of accessories, there is also the possibility to purchase all these components of the race package individually. The owner can choose what they want on the boat. It's clear that buying a complete package offers a financial advantage, whereas buying them piece by piece is less economical.
Perfect. Listen, right now, with so little wind, I can't try out all the points of sail. So could you tell me now that what is really the most optimal point of sail for this particular boat?
Well, look, we were fortunate to test it in recent days when we launched it at Punta Ala, even under quite challenging conditions. One day we encountered real wind. There was also a nice wave underneath. So we had the chance to let it run, and we quickly understood that on the wave, let's just say on the waves, it consistently attempts to catch a wave. We hit speeds of around 14 to 15 knots, which I would consider quite satisfactory. And then I must tell you, its use is also quite versatile, ranging from a good angle of heel to running downwind with great satisfaction and ease.
I didn't have the same opportunity he did, but this morning when there was a bit of a breeze close to shore, I decided to try it out. And I really must tell you, the boat is genuinely a great pleasure because it feels compact, solid, and secure, with an extremely soft rudder. As soon as I guide it, the boat responds immediately. And above all, it feels every puff, every slight change in the wind, the boat senses it right away, and this is something truly remarkable. It's incredibly pleasant. And now let's talk about the engine, because motor sailing is also important if I have to make a long passage. That the boat is able to move is certainly an important thing. We tested it once more this morning. The boat's equipped with a 75 horsepower Yanmar engine. We went full throttle and reached 8 knots and 6, then we brought it down to 2,500 RPM, which is the cruising speed, and we successfully reached 8. Well, approximately 8.1 knots, very comfortably and quite smoothly. A good speed, not an exceptional speed, but it's certainly a good speed for making long motor stretches quite efficiently.
Yes, I would say it's good, but I guarantee you that in fact the boat can go 1 knot faster, so it comfortably reaches 9.5 and cruises at 8.5. Here in this area there's a well-known
notorious current
which we encountered this morning, and
there's a heavy current.
exactly, so we experienced 1 knot less due to the current. So you might say
I can reliably count on a maximum speed of 9 knots.
9.5 knots, in fact. I've also reached 9.5 knots and a cruising speed of 8.5 knots, 8.4 without any strain.
Perfect. But it really becomes a nice speed. Hear the wind? It seems it's entirely abandoning us at this point. Having said that, since the wind is dying down and we've told you pretty much everything, and now all I have left is to express my thanks to Gigi Servidati for his consultancy and his company, and I express my gratitude for the attention you've given us, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video with SVN, Solo Velanet.